Welcome back to America's Forum. I'm John Bachman. And guys, we're going to get to your comments eventually here in the show here, but we wanted to keep Pete Hoekstra around and keep talking about what the authorities are releasing and the information we're getting involving that apparently downed Malaysian airliner over Ukraine. Pete, I wanted to talk to you about something that I discussed earlier with Lisa Ruth, the former CIA analyst and currently Lignet.com. Forbid do something worse. What do we know about what's in the hands of these types of thug organizations?
Well, number one, they haven't fallen into the hands of the rebels. I mean, they've been given to the rebels, I'm assuming, by the Russian military. And who knows how far the Russians have gone and the types of equipment that they may have given them. But you have to assume now that the rebels have very sophisticated arms that have been provided to them by one of the major military powers in the world. And, you know, we saw I think the tragic results of that yesterday. So I would think that they've got more of those capabilities. They've got the radars. They've got some very sophisticated equipment.
And I want to, focus. I'm not going to play the tape again, but I'm sure you know what's out there. These recordings that were intercepted between some of these Russian groups here that clearly indicate that this was likely a mistake here. Do you think that this mistake may have clearly it's entered us into a new phase in all this?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's one thing if they would have taken down a Ukrainian military jet, people would have said, oh, that's expected. These folks are at war. It would have been just a small blip on the radar screen. Taking down a passenger plane, it's one thing if they would have taken down a Ukrainian military jet, people would have said, oh, that's expected. These folks are at war. It would have been just a small blip on the radar screen. Taking down a passenger plane, 295 casualties, puts us into a whole new realm of possibilities. When the first response out of former Secretary Clinton was, well, we're going to have to see what the Europeans are going to do. We should be working with the Europeans. We should be leading the Europeans in terms of how we respond to this kind of a threat and this kind of an action.
Well, it certainly lets us know where we are in 2014 anyway. Pete, thanks so much. We'll check back in with you very soon here. We're going to turn our attention, we're going to leave this aside, to the Revolutionary War. It didn't start out very well for George Washington and the Continental Army, but all's well that ends well, and that's a topic of this American moment, the surrender of General Cornwallis.
Exactly 6 years and 6 months after the first shots of the Revolutionary War were fired at Lexington and Concord, General George Washington had spent most of the war evading fixed battles against the superior armed British forces. But Providence intervened. Lieutenant General Lord Cornwallis, commander of British forces in Virginia and second in command of all British forces in the American colonies, had moved into a trap, setting up camp in Yorktown. Located on a peninsula and facing the York River, Cornwallis was easily encircled by Continental Army troops on one side and a powerful French fleet on another. On October 6th, located on a peninsula and facing the York River, Cornwallis was easily encircled by Continental Army troops on one side and a powerful French fleet on another. On October 6th, Washington's army, now reinforced with 5,500 French troops, were making preparations for their planned assault on the 9th. At the same time, a French fleet, numbering 28 ships of the line, had prevented any chance of a British escape by water. By mid-month, the British were cut off from their supply lines, denying them much-needed food and ammunition. With his forces suffering heavy casualties from Washington's continual artillery bombardment, effectively ending America's war for independence. The date was the 19th of October, 1781. With the signing of the Treaty of Paris in 1783, the war officially came to a close, with America's sovereignty secured and its territories bordered by Canada to the north, Florida to the south, and the Mississippi River to the east. For Newsmax TV, I'm Bill Curtis, and this is an American moment.